are looking live at my face. Everybody, it has been a while. What is going on? As I stumble in the intro here. It really has. Let's see, was during, yeah, it was the MMA Holes podcast was the last time I was on here. But once again, it is good to be back with you, sipping some, not kombucha. I love kombucha, but it is water in this bottle. And yeah, as the title will say on this recording, this is for the winner takes all game 7. What a series that I have missed because I have been starting a new job in a new city. It has been pure madness, but I did from the start say, happy to say, Edmonton was going to get the victory, and it didn't start out that way. That's why I wanted to. I had a plan all along to do a podcast for if there was a game 7, just as kind of a go-to idea, just in case. But have other guests planned to come on this show, which I will be dropping that news soon for you on social media. But I can just tell you it's going to be another MMA live stream is coming with a buddy of mine who was at he was at the PFL over the weekend that Connor was at, and that was uh, that has been a saga, as you know. I don't know why you'd be there, man. Connor's Connor, but with that toe injury, I don't know what is about to happen with the new main event. How about Alex Pereira stepping up short notice for this fight? Look, I have Alex winning. There's no reason he shouldn't. The guy is game for a fight anytime. That's why I love the main event that they have. People are like, "Oh, the card is not going to be as good." Well, I mean, then why am I reading all these negative comments about Connor online that he can't, he doesn't have the same buzz anymore. He sells, but he doesn't have the buzz that the aura around him that he had, like if you watched him in 2015, 2016. But I don't know. I think it is time for another live stream. When was the last time I even did one of those? I couldn't even tell you, but I'm looking forward to it because it'll be for a big event this summer. I had it planned for actually for UFC 303, but when Connor pulled out, that kind of changed up my plans with my friend and myself. So there will be one coming up this summer, and I have some shows with some pretty cool guests coming up before that. If you want to listen, subscribe. If you want to jump on the Patreon, check that out. Try and keep up with that as much as I can. I run all this stuff. It's me. That's what trust me. But where was I? Even I started off on hockey, and yeah, I mean, look at the beginning of this series, I did get to watch a lot of the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, and Edmonton looked sharp. There was no indication that they were going to go into this series and just get, I mean, smoked in the first because these Florida played just perfectly. I mean, they played a perfect game in game 1, which was a Bobrovsky where he had the 32 saves, I believe, game 1, and then they go and I mean, you lose after you're up 3-1. These I just don't know with Florida, and I'm in the state of Florida. I got to pull for them by law, right? But I don't know what happened. This team just you never want to say you don't have confidence, but where is this team mentally going into this game? I mean, Connor McDavid, the guy didn't even have a goal one game when they won 5-1, and they still won 5-1, not to mention the 8-1 slashing. I just, this is going to be so interesting, and I'm going to only be able to catch the very end of it, but I am. ladies and gentlemen, going with Edmonton for Game 7. There's no indication that they will not show up in this game, and that is a big, big thing here because you can't take nights off in a championship series. I don't know who in the world is going to be the hero, but I just, for some reason, my gut's telling me this is going to be a low scoring affair. I mean, obviously, it's going to be every hockey game is physical. Doesn't matter what level you're playing, but I expect this to be just these two teams sweating this one out. So, does Florida prove me wrong? I don't know, but to go in there and just not be confident and think we have put ourselves in the worst position, it's destiny to go down. That's what you can't allow to jump into your brain because the team across the hallway, that's what they're thinking. That's what is going through their minds, that has been going through their minds all weekend is, man, we have come back from just looking like we had nothing in the tank. And that's what I wondered about Edmonton. Was it just they were exhausted, and is sitting around a little bit too much waiting for this final series? I don't know. I mean, hockey is not something that I played growing up, at least religiously. But as a guy who is, as a spectator who has watched all these series, I feel like I've watched every bit of the playoffs but the Stanley Cup Finals, which is crazy to say, but that is true. I wish I could have watched more because I only caught, I think, 1 and 3 some of game 2. But yeah, that's my call for that one. I'm hoping that we get Florida from game 1 because they just everybody, and I remember listening to ESPN radio down here because I was driving through an area where the reception's not very good, so I wasn't getting many stations coming in well, but that happened to be the one that was good. And as I'm driving to wherever I was going that day, I don't even remember, but what everybody was saying, Florida's going to smoke them. It's 4-1. That's going to be the final outcome here. Ever since then, I think Edmonton really took that personally, and that is the way you have to play. That is why I am going with this team to win. But who knows? I mean, in game 7, nerves come up, and anytime, I mean, I'm getting nervous just thinking about it, but it is time, boys. Let's do this as I pretend I'm drinking on a Monday. And yeah, there was definitely some UFC this weekend. Look, sucks for Ikram because Hamzat is a hell of a competitor, and we all knew that was going to be no easy fight for Robert Whitaker. But Whitaker of old showed up. First knockout in 7 years. If that is true, that's what I'm seeing everywhere. So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but 7 years since his last knockout. It's a tough one for both of them because Ikram's game, I mean, you're getting praised by Habib as one of the next, he sees you as one of the next standout stars. That's automatically some pressure right there. But I don't know what you can say other than Robert Whitaker had the right mindset. He said something like, "Mate, what if I would have had waffles instead of what if I would have had eggs instead of waffles?" I could not do the Australian accent justice, but shout out to every Australian fighter. It just didn't surprise me. I mean, Robert Whitaker he was not getting the respect he deserved, and now it sets up, I believe, a winner take all kind of like, I don't know what you would call it, a Rumble Royale, but no, it's like a tournament for the belt because look, you have DDP and Izzy, which is obvious storyline. If you saw that fight that DDP won, the post game, I should say. But if you saw the Izzy confrontation, it makes sense that they fight, right? Because of that storyline. That sells, but I don't know. I think that if you are a true fight fan, you're kind of like, should Izzy be fighting? Shouldn't this be a rematch with Sean? But look, I think if that's the case, which they announced it, so it clearly is, as of right now, I think the fight that makes sense is Sean Strickland versus Robert Whitaker. If you have an opinion, drop a comment on this video. Let me know what you think because I predict that as the next matchup for those two. I mean, Jared Cannonier is in the mix too, but if he doesn't get thrown into there, who does he fight? Because, I mean, to give him somebody like Ikram would just be insane, but I just I don't believe in it's a sure thing with these fights anymore. I don't believe that anymore. I mean, it used to be like this is the title contender, like, at the time when they were both at the top of their game. Did you see anybody else stepping in to fight John Jones? But DC at one point, it was like, no, it's set in stone now. I don't know, but congrats to Robert Whitaker. I mean, you deserve that and hell of a performance. Sucks for Johnny Walker. It definitely sucks for I mean this the Sergi fight and all that controversy. That was crazy. I don't know if that agreement's true that they were going to take it easy on each other, but man, and that that meme will live on of his hair getting combed. I don't know what to say about Kelvin Gastelum that has not been said already because, of course, look, Bisping is going in on him because, they fought at one time, but also raises a good point that this is just Kelvin has a history and it sucks to see that go down the way it did for Daniel Rodriguez, but I mean, you gotta do what you sign on the dotted line for, my friend. Show up on time as soon as you sign on that line. And I just gave you the worst line possible on the spot, but it's true. I don't know where Kelvin Gastelum goes from here because the guy is just, as much promise as he had. I don't know if this is true, but there's because it's YouTube comments, so but I did see a guy comment on a video saying that he was in Arizona and he's around the area that I guess Kelvin, I don't know if he lives there or if he was just staying there at the time, but this is the lead up to the fight and he is out partying. His brother saw him at the bar. I mean, take that with a grain of salt, but that's just like, you don't want that stuff out there in their position. I mean, you're one of the most, Kelvin has some good hype around him. I'm just that fight with Izzy, that's one of the greatest fights in UFC history. It sucks to see such promise. Just, is it mismanagement? Is it the mental issues? Because Dustin Poirier definitely, I'm so happy that he went into that interview on Ariel Hawani's podcast and had the idea in mind to talk about mental health because it's if fighters are struggling with it, you know that people, the everyday person, they're definitely struggling with it too. But I that could be it playing into Kelvin's hand. I'm just not sure, but I really, really hope that he gets it together and claws his way back. I mean, it's the same thing with Connor. I want to see the best Connor in there. So the beef with the bad guy or not, which why would you want to beef with undefeated, undisputed? Who is he not beef with at this point, Connor? But I do want to see a completely healthy Connor. So congratulations to the winners this weekend. Man, I cannot wait for this card this weekend, and looks like I can actually watch it. So I'm definitely happy about that. But comment who you think is going to win the main event, Alex versus Yuri, the rematch. As I said, I'm going with Poatan. This is going to be a hell of a weekend still without Connor and Mike, which I believe Connor is going to get in there. I do believe it. I don't think I mean, everybody thought he was hyping up the Habib fight and was going to skip out on that. And he stepped in there, folks. So I hope that we get a fresh Connor with, however much the leg injuries, all these different things have hindered him, that he's mentally there and he goes in and handles business. And what's his future? I want you to comment on that too, because does he fight if he beats Chandler? If he gets in there with him and beats him, what does he do? If he loses, I mean, is that it? Is that officially time to ride off into the sunset? I don't know. It seems like Islam is clawing for that fight because he knows it's good money, and he has all these other angles for fights too. With RDA situation, if you remember, you want to go way back, that is a matchup that could happen. Him and RDA, I think it would make sense if Connor loses that fight against Chandler, assuming it happens. But everybody, enjoy your week. No, I have a human one ahead of me walking to work here, but I'm out.